welcome to another edition of the Economy and Politics program where we discuss developments in the economy as it affects the populace. Today being the first Monday of the month of May 2021, it's a public holiday as Nigerians and over 173 countries observe the Workers' Day, which was over the weekend, but the public holiday today, I guess you're all enjoying and having some relaxed time. But for here, we'll continue the conversation, and one very important industry, which we can't ignore in the country, is the insurance sector. And today we'll be looking at the insurance industry and Nigeria's economic stability. We can't avoid that industry if we want to achieve sustainability and development. We need to look at this very interesting topic. Is a regular guest on insurance matters, Mr Ekerete Ola-Gam Ikon, insurance expert and a management consultant. He's joining us here live in the studio, not virtually, showing you that things are beginning to ease when it comes to the pandemic effects. Nice to have you, Mr. Ekerete.
Thank you very much, Mr. Otobasi. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I mean, so good, so good. I mean, after a whole full year of restrictions and movements, things are beginning to ease. Vaccinations are really taking effect, and we're beginning to see steps taken to ease the economy.
And this is the time to take insurance.
Definitely, the time to take insurance, yes. And first, let's begin with confidence building, because it takes confidence in a sector to encourage people to invest or carry out their activities. Okay. And lately, the regulator plays a very key role there. Recently, we saw the action of NICOM on unique insurance, one of the players in the industry, and also the hold on the recapitalization drive. I'd like you to take those two. How does this boost confidence, and also how does this impact the value chain in terms of the fact that NICOM, the National Insurance Commission, had to put a hold on the whole recapitalization exercise, which was supposed to transform the insurance industry, in the words of one of the analyst players in the country, from the lagoon to the ocean?
Okay, great. You see, Otobasi, the issue is, how do we achieve an industry that is attractive? What kind of industry do we want to have? And I have looked at it and considered that what is good for us to have is a situation where anybody can buy insurance from any insurance company without any fear of whether or not they can pay their obligations when the time comes. That's when you're talking about confidence.
Confidence, yeah.
All right, so when we look at it from the point of recapitalization, that process unfortunately was suspended. We all know the issues that went on. However, what some of us also said in the face of the suspension was that different companies will now have to be the ones that will build confidence for the customers and for the market. And I tell you, we can see them. We almost know the companies. They may not be more than 10, but we know them. And so the real issue is being able to convince people that these companies that we know are able to take the responsibility that the entire industry should deliver.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the role that NICOM needs to play. Sometimes it's interesting to hear NICOM say companies are challenged, they are struggling, and it looks like we can't do anything about it. But there's something we can do about it, which we have shown with what has happened with unique insurance. Now, the real issue with unique insurance, for example, is that the company has been struggling for the last 5 to 10 years. All right. So it does seem that the regulator would wait for the company itself to die before coming to close it. At some point they will appoint a new board and management and follow through with appointing receiver. Now, what that does is create an impression that for those who might not have followed the story, so NICOM is now strong enough to take this kind of action. But when you look at the financials of Unique, it had gone down to the point where they weren't even able to make 50 million as gross written premium anymore.
Because of playing the claims.
And so they didn't have, if they want to say number of customers they had, it's possible that they didn't have up to 100 customers. So it was dead, technically, But the issue is, and that's what I want us to look at, just in case it affects another company that is currently operating now. Nikon went into this company 3 years ago and said they were going to rescue the company, because they had noticed failure in corporate governance.
Corporate
from
governance
the financial reports that they looked at. So it's interesting that we do not have access to that financial report. Forensic audit that was done. We don't know what that report said, but we know that the company is no longer in existence as we speak. So what happened? So is there a company that is currently desirous of being like, I say desirous because sometimes you look at it and you think that maybe the owners of this company just want it to die. But the customers need to know.
Because, I mean, they are involved.
The professionals involved need to know that you don't want this company anymore. So it won't be a case of somebody who is working there, dies with it, and cannot get a job elsewhere as a professional. So there are different sides to this whole thing, which at this point, my proposition is come out with the information. We saw the action of the central bank yesterday. Give us the information. When did it happen? How did it happen? What happened? What did not happen? And I've had to say recently that, will anybody be prosecuted on what happened? You understand? Because if these things don't happen, the next one may happen.
So something should serve as a deterrent.
Apparently. That's what I mean. So we need to look at it and then be able to say to ourselves that this should never happen again. So what are we putting in place to ensure that it doesn't happen again? Now, some people have said that the investors who took over Unique were not insurance professionals, they didn't know insurance business and all of that. And my argument is, out of Unique, 2 entities came out as subsidiaries of Unique. And one of them is still active. And probably $1 billion worth business. So what happened? So in order not to preempt anything, we might just want to leave it here and watch what will happen with the receiver that has been appointed to liquidate the company.
But it's very clear from what you've said that the signaling of the action of NICOM and the need to set actions that serve as deterrent is very important to gain the confidence of the market. And just lastly on this recapitalization process, definitely you're saying that several entities, insurance companies, can build that momentum and really make the industry so attractive. But in terms of the learning points, because look at other companies, other countries, if we're going to have an industry that is penetrating at over 3-4%, and even contribution to the economic growth is over 2%, we must have strategy from the regulator, clarity and focus in terms of whatever happens. If we're going to make 10 or 8 or 12 great insurance companies build the industry, then others take you. But with this whole measure, that is being affected.
When you step back a little to see how the process got to the point of being suspended, there was a court case and there was the appeal by the House of Reps that the thing be suspended for 6 months. Right? Now, those issues are still there. So the regulator has to find a way of moving ahead in spite of those issues which are not entirely in his control. What I find, very disturbing is how you allow a process that should be in your hand to now be in the hand of other parties who are not interested in building the confidence that we're talking about. So what I see happening is that the regulator would be forced to, recognize that some companies are better than some companies in the market. All right? Because what is going on now is that the weak companies are messing up all that the strong companies are doing. Why don't we ensure that the weak companies that you have chosen to help by way of appointing management and all of that, are known to the public? I mean, if a bank has an issue, we always know.
It's a stress test, and then we now get that.
And we always know. We know that someone has gone in there and all of that. So we know that it's a different, but we are trying to bring it back. We know. So people will choose how to go in that direction. But what is going on now is that it depends on who is talking. Someone will say the insurance industry is weak because of the experience with the weaker companies.
Yeah.
Another person will say the insurance companies are strong because he has experience with strong companies, not knowing that they are weak companies.
Yeah.
So these are things that the regulator needs to come in and express.
Yeah.
There are a number of companies that the regulator is managing. Some they've been managing for, probably
Several years.
10 years now.
Over a decade, yeah.
So the important thing is for people to be aware so that they will be better informed and they will be able to make their choices.
Yeah.
I also do see that the regulator might be hoping to use the new code of corporate governance to determine a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because that is going to come into effect 1st of June. And so we expect that some people,
Almost a month from now.
if we want to follow that process, we expect that some people might not continue to hold their positions, either as CEOs, MD CEOs, or board members. So those are the things that I'm probably hoping the regulator will be able to use to fine-tune some of these things and bring back confidence into the industry.
If you look at what happened in the banking industry, we have recapitalization and what has transformed since then,
yes,
definitely insurance should take a cue from that and make that bold step. So like you rightly said, regulator, the ball is in their court to really make this happen.
Yes.
But let's look at insurtech. I mean, we have a huge population of young people, and like you talked about, making insurance attractive. You attended a forum last week.
Yesterday.
Last week in terms of discussing developments in the industry.
Okay.
But how is insurtech helping to deepen the penetration level of insurance in the country? How can it be used to woo more of the young population? Because it's become very critical.
Okay, so insurtech in Nigeria is at the learning stage right now. We've got fintech doing what it's doing, but there is still a lot of conversations going on about what should insurtech be and how should it be, how should it help. You and I know it's also technology that is meant to enable what we are doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are different challenges in terms of who is doing it. Does the person have enough knowledge about insurance to then do it? So you find out that those promoting insurtech are like outsiders to insurance. Are they finding the right partners to have these discussions with? Let me give you an example. If we are discussing what insurtech can do, we're discussing it from the point of aggregators, for example.
Okay, aggregators, that's interesting.
And saying, how do we leverage aggregators to deepen insurance penetration in Nigeria?
Yeah.
All right? So that is an easier discussion to have, than how will insurtech bring insurance into my home? Like we say about any other technology-enabled service. All right? So the attraction for insurance needs to be there for insurtech to push and scale up.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. So using aggregators may be a starting point to experience insurtech in insurance. And we have seen a couple of them coming through. But what's been the response of insurance industry to it becomes the next challenge. Now, you and I have always discussed the issue of claims.
Yeah.
So it's not buying insurance that's the big issue. It's when a claim occurs. So
how
getting to use insurtech platforms to sell insurance, it's also the easier part.
Yeah.
An insurance company came out recently and said you can buy insurance via WhatsApp. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Use
the digital platforms.
So the issue then is, can you pay claims via WhatsApp? Because that's where the issue is.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then it means that the confidence that we are trying to build will be battered. If you have encouraged people to come to this platform and then the question of claims has still not been addressed, then we are going to have a bigger issue to deal with.
Yeah.
And we've also had to ask ourselves, because in the course of my work, I relate to a lot of insurtech, enthusiasts and those who are startups and all of that. So the question we're asking ourselves, will insurtech indeed deliver insurance penetration?
Big question.
Yes. Because we're all shouting InsurTech. InsurTech is only to enable what you are doing. If you are not,
enable the technology.
if you don't have where I am informed about insurance and all of that, okay, so if that's what InsurTech is going to do, it's a different thing. That's communication.
Yeah.
So
Leveraging the
if you can
platforms.
use InsurTech to deliver communication, fantastic. But there is something that I know needs to happen, which is from the regulatory point, there's a regulatory sandbox that has been set up by the National
regulators.
Insurance Commission.
Yeah.
And I also know that there's a guideline that has been exposed to the market and all of that. We need to come out with that very quickly and let people who have all these ideas about how InsurTech can deliver. Yes, I believe InsurTech can do a lot for us. But the enthusiasm that we are following it with gives me concern, because we should not fail at the end. If we fail to use InsurTech to deliver on claims, then I don't think we should even start.
Because just like we see in the banks,
Yes.
where people can use their phones, carry out transactions and all that, we should see that innovation where I can use my phone, and of course, like you said, even I'm getting insurance products and so, even claims, you can check your settlements, and the companies are integrated in that regard.
Yeah. Otobong, I've seen a company in the Middle East that is selling insurance through the ATM.
Wow.
So there are all sorts of possibilities. The real issue is, do we want to do it? Sometimes it seems that we can't even decide. And when we decide, we don't commit ourselves to it. Because we are afraid that it might fail, so we don't go all out. So, I mean, the same way you pay bills, the same way you do all your transactions. So why can't you do insurance that way?
I mean, that would be a game changer, and I think that has to continue to come to the front burner, so that from policy to legislation to the tech enablers, we put that into, because that's how you can really drive penetration.
One of the things I
talked about Middle East, even Israel. Israel is a very big player in InsurTech.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I would like to see, like I said, the regulatory sandbox is there, but maybe we need a private sector driven, platform that will connect with the regulatory sandbox to be able to, start this conversation and make sure that they happen.
Yeah. That's very important. But let's look at microinsurance. Last time we discussed, that's one of our biggest viewed or most viewed videos for last year in terms of the economy and politics. So, I mean, it showed people really liked this idea of microinsurance.
Yes.
But is it being driven in the way that it's attractive? We talk about having an attractive industry, insurance industry. Is it so far driven from the regulator, even from the policy side, to operators in a way that people can begin to connect? Because we're talking about a huge informal sector that needs to be transit to formal, reaching out to all these people. Now we have MSMEs categorized into nano homestead before micro, and then the large enterprises. Okay,
so what's happening with the microinsurance field is that insurance companies have got a lot of work to do. It's I would say, I mean, with due respect to the regulator, you've put pressure on the regulator to give you room to also do microinsurance. Don't forget, the regulator had a standalone license for microinsurance companies. Now, based on the desire of insurance companies to also do microinsurance, they've been given that window to do microinsurance. And I must say they've been, yes, a couple of companies that have come out to show that they want to do something that affects the small businesses and all of that. But maybe at this point, they are still studying, that environment. But what I expect to see is a discussion between the Nigerian Insurance Association and SMEDA.
SMEDA, okay.
For example.
There used to be that synergy.
Yeah, because this is where the MSMEs are. This is where insurance is. Since the time that was in December last year, I expect to see that discussion going on. I expect to see different engagement by way of conferences, going on about MSME insurance and all of that. While I expect that to happen, and I don't see that, I'm also involved with certain parties discussing this whole thing.
Very
you
good.
know. Now, one of the biggest issues is, what is microinsurance? Some people define it as retail, which means I can sell to
Yeah.
anyone at the price that the person can afford to buy,
Yeah.
affordable prices. Some people define it from the point of access. So I need to open more offices to be able to get people to buy.
Yeah.
Because some people that you want to sell microinsurance to don't have smartphones.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't just talk about technology in that regard without creating the awareness at that level. You know, and then some people also talk about the regulation itself has said the kind of products that, the level of products that you can sell, you know, in terms of the sum insured that is permissible. So these are things that you need to look at and define how you want to play in that area.
Yeah.
I honestly expect that by now we should be having insurance companies say you can buy insurance for 200 naira per week. Because we sometimes spend too
And that's
much
even
time.
attractive to a lot of youth population and
Absolutely.
even the workforce.
Absolutely.
You do it gradually and it accumulates.
Yes. We sometimes we spend too much time trying to investigate, trying to study, and then we will end up saying it won't work. It's the market that will determine whether it will work or not.
Yeah.
Let's get into the market, and because indeed there are several other alternatives that are working. So that's the challenge again that microinsurance has.
Yeah.
You know, the microinsurance will continue to be, you know, a better alternative, you know, to all of those, because it's formal, and then it puts you into the financial inclusion space.
Yeah, financial inclusion, very important.
Yes.
And as we wrap up, Mr. Ekerete, I know that we've been always talking about having a very vibrant, viable, and productive insurance industry.
Yes.
And based on your conversations last week, what are those things that are the key points going forward that will make Nigeria an attractive insurance market? We are supposed to be the largest insurance market in Africa, large population, over 200 million people. Based on, I mean, if we have the, of course, based on estimated population statistics,
Yep.
we should be a huge insurance market. We should see, it may not be like the US that has very solid insurance companies that could even acquire banks like you see in the West, but we should have a very vibrant, dynamic insurance industry.
I'll tell you three things that I think will change the dynamics going forward. One is the corporate governance code, like I mentioned, because if the regulator is able to use that, you know, to redefine things and then set a direction, that will be very good.
Yeah.
The second thing is that the insurance industry should have a roadmap. Now, what will be in this roadmap?
Has there not been a roadmap in the last decade?
I haven't seen one.
Wow, this is very serious.
I haven't seen one. Now, what will that roadmap have?
Yeah.
That roadmap will have, you know, these issues that you are raising
Yeah.
about the potentials of the market. So the investors will see it, and then you will also talk about the kind of opportunities that exist for other people to do business with the insurance sector. So you are trying to attract people into the insurance sector. Come, we have needs in this area.
Yes.
We have challenges with communication. Come and work with us.
Yeah.
We have challenges with people management. Come and work with us.
Yeah.
You know, and then you also will be able to ensure that that document gives hope to the young people, you know, who would see the direction of things for insurance.
Trajectory, yeah.
Now, the last thing I think we need to put into that is the role that we are giving women to play.
Wow.
Now, women are changing a lot of things in the world, all right? But guess what? At the regulatory level, there's no woman involved.
That's the
That's
total zero
But
for gender inclusion.
they have probably gained from the non-regulatory side. Because, I mean, the lady that is president at NCRIB, the brokers body,
Yes,
doing a
NCRIB,
fantastic job.
yes, doing a fantastic job.
You know, the DG of CIN, the professional body,
CIN, yeah.
you know, and then, of course, there's the vice chairman in NIA, who's a lady, you know, and then they also have their professional body, the professional
There should be
insurance
that,
ladies.
I think some form of gender inclusion in the regulatory space.
Yes, but from the regulatory point, you know, I think it's not to say it's too late, you know, based on the appointments that have been done. However, we need to find a way of bringing ladies to play a role. You know, this, I mean, people connect with people.
Yeah.
So the population of women in Nigeria is huge.
Women should be integrated
You
in
know,
driving insurance.
so
because
we are seeing a number
that
of
would have
CEOs,
impact.
women,
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
But we need to develop products. We need to develop the environment to attract them, and somehow they are probably the one that will bring the men in to pay for insurance.
No, definitely. I mean, you said something. I know if you look at some countries like maybe India or some in the East, in Asia also,
Yes.
women have played a very key role in
Yes.
driving insurance,
Oh,
like
yes.
you rightly said. So that's very interesting. Three clear things you said, which is corporate governance, the need to integrate the women, the gender inclusion, but most importantly, the roadmap. I mean, quite interesting that you've not had a very clear roadmap. That's something that all stakeholders should work on. Thank you very much, Mr. Ekerete Ola-Gam Ikon. Always nice discussing insurance with you.
Thank you so
And I
much.
hope that we can get to that level where insurance gets so attractive and everybody's talking about it. It's coming to the front burner in policy. Recently, the finance ministry talked about their strategy again, and I'll be looking at it and seeing where is insurance connecting, because it's very important. And NICOM has a role to play. Operators have a role to play. And we appreciate advocates like you also making this thing happen. Thank you very much once again. Ekerete Ola-Gam Ikon is an insurance expert and management consultant discussing the Nigerian insurance industry and economic stability. And that will be all for this edition of the Economy and Politics Show. You now understand how important insurance is, and you just log on to our website, www.proshareng.com. When you go to that website, scroll down to the right-hand bar, keep scrolling, you see insurance. Click on insurance, you see our latest stories and reports from the regulator, operators, what's really happening in the insurance space, and also lots and lots of contributory articles from Mr. Ekerete Ola-Gam Ikon. Very interesting articles that would create awareness and give you further insight into the insurance industry and things you need to know. Let's make this happen next edition, but till we come your way again, don't forget to stay safe this period. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.